The massive alien ship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, like a dark metal mountain floating through space. Commander Zekthul stood on the bridge of his dreadnought, watching the blue planet grow larger on his screens. His 6 arms moved across control panels as his yellow eyes studied the readings his crew reported to him. "Another primitive world," he said to his second in command. "Look at their pathetic defenses. A few orbital stations and some basic weapons. This will be easier than the Kepler colonies." The hegemony had conquered 17 star systems in the past 50 years. Every species they encountered either surrendered immediately or died fighting with honor before accepting defeat. Zekthul had personally overseen 12 of these conquests. The pattern was always the same. Show superior firepower. Demand surrender. Accept submission or destroy resistance. Move on to the next world. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee aboard Aurora 1 when the proximity alarm started screaming. The orbital defense station had been his home for 3 years now. He commanded a crew of 42, humans who kept watch over Earth's outer defenses. Most days were quiet. Ships came and went from the lunar colonies. Mining vessels hauled ice from the asteroid belt. Nothing exciting ever happened until today. "Captain, we have an unknown contact," Lieutenant Amy Carter called from her console. "It's big, sir. Really big." Jake set down his coffee and moved to the main display. The object appearing on their sensors was larger than any ship humanity had ever built. It was easily 5 times the size of their biggest space station. The hull looked smooth and dark with strange geometric patterns running along its sides. "Try to get a better scan, Amy." "Pete, are our weapons online?" Chief Engineer Pete Johnson looked up from his repair work. "The railguns are working, but we only have basic ammunition. The missile tubes are empty until the next supply run." Jake nodded. Aurora 1 was not built for major combat. It was meant to handle pirates and small conflicts. The station had enough firepower to protect civilian ships, but nothing like what might be needed against an unknown alien vessel. "Sir, I'm picking up more contacts," Amy said. Her voice had tension in it. "At least 6 smaller ships. They're moving into formation around the big one." The alien fleet settled into a perfect diamond pattern just outside weapons range. Jake had seen military formations before during his time in the Earth Defense Force. This was textbook perfect. Too perfect. These were not explorers or traders. This was a war fleet. Admiral Lisa Brooks received the alert at Earth Defense Command 15 minutes after the aliens arrived. She had been expecting something like this for years. Humanity had been expanding into space for decades now. They had colonies on 12 worlds and mining operations throughout the solar system. Eventually, someone was going to notice them. "Get me a direct line to Aurora 1, she ordered her communications officer, "and start emergency protocols. I want all defense stations on high alert and civilian ships ordered to the nearest safe harbor." Lisa had spent 30 years in space. She started as a pilot, worked her way up through command, and now coordinated Earth's entire defense network. She knew their limitations. Humanity had good technology for a young species, but they were not ready for a major war. Their weapons were designed for fighting other humans. Their ships were built for exploration and commerce. Everything they had was untested against alien technology. The first alien transmission came exactly 1 hour after their arrival. Jake was studying sensor readings when every screen on Aurora 1 went dark. Then a face appeared. It was not human. The creature had smooth gray skin and 4 large black eyes arranged in a square pattern. When it spoke, the words came through their translators in perfect English. "I am Commander Zekthul of the Hegemony Coalition. You will surrender your world within 72 hours. Prepare landing zones for our occupation forces. Gather your leaders for transfer to processing centers. Resistance will result in total extinction of your species. This is not a negotiation." The transmission ended. The screens returned to normal. Jake stared at Amy and Pete. None of them said anything for several seconds. "Did that thing just tell us to surrender?" Pete asked finally. "I think it did," Amy replied, "and it gave us 3 days to do it." Jake opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. "Admiral Brooks, did you receive that transmission?" "We got it, Jake. I'm sending our response now. Keep your crew ready, but do not take any hostile action unless they fire first. Admiral Brooks had prepared for this moment. She walked to the main communications array and activated the broad-spectrum transmitter. Her message would reach every ship and station in the solar system as well as the alien fleet. To the commander of the unknown vessels, this is Admiral Lisa Brooks of Earth Defense Command. We received your message. After careful consideration, we must respectfully decline your offer. Earth is not interested in surrender at this time. We suggest you reconsider your approach and perhaps try a more diplomatic method of introduction. We would be happy to discuss trade agreements or cultural exchanges through proper channels. Zekthul listened to the human response 3 times before he understood what he was hearing. In 50 years of conquest, no species had ever declined his surrender demand. Most begged for mercy. Some tried to negotiate better terms. A few attacked, immediately in desperate last stands. None had ever politely refused and suggested he try a different approach. They declined, he said to his tactical officer. The humans declined our surrender demand. Perhaps they did not understand the message. Commander, their technology appears primitive. Maybe their translation systems are inadequate. Zekthul considered this possibility. He had seen species misunderstand simple concepts due to linguistic barriers. But the human response had been clear and well-structured. They understood the situation. They were choosing defiance over survival. Run a detailed scan of their defenses, he ordered. I want to know exactly what these humans think they can accomplish with their primitive weapons. The sensor data that came back confirmed what Zekthul had suspected. Humanity had basic railguns and missile systems. Their energy weapons were crude compared to hegemony technology. Their ships were lightly armed and poorly shielded. The entire human defense network could be destroyed in less than 6 hours of concentrated assault. Yet they had refused to surrender. Zekthul had seen this kind of behavior before, but only from species that had superior technology and actually believed they could win. The humans had to know they were outmatched. Every tactical analysis showed them the futility of resistance. So why were they choosing certain death over submission? Commander, we are receiving another transmission from the planet's surface. His communications officer reported. This time the message came from Admiral Brooks directly. She appeared on screen in what looked like a military command center. Behind her, Zekthul could see dozens of humans working at various stations. None of them looked afraid. Most seemed focused and determined. A few were actually smiling. Commander, Zekthul, we understand you may be confused by our response. Let me clarify our position. Earth and her colonies are not available for conquest. We do not surrender our freedom to anyone regardless of their technology or threats. If you wish to establish peaceful relations, we are willing to discuss that option. If you choose violence instead, you should know that humans do not go quietly into extinction. We hope you will make the wise choice. The transmission ended. Zekthul stared at the blank screen. In his long career, he had never encountered anything like this. The humans were clearly outmatched, yet they showed no fear. They spoke of violence as if they welcomed it. They acted like they had some advantage. He could not see. Begin preparations for punitive strike, he ordered finally. Target their lunar colony. A demonstration of our power should change their attitude quickly. But as Zekthul watched the blue planet spinning peacefully below his fleet, he felt something he had not experienced in many years. For the first time since beginning his conquest of the galaxy, he was not entirely certain of victory. Commander Zekthul decided to teach humanity a lesson they would never forget. The lunar colony called New Geneva housed 3,000 humans mining ice and rare minerals from the moon's surface. It was far enough from Earth to be vulnerable, but close enough that the home planet would see the destruction clearly. A perfect target for demonstration. Ben Parker had been administrator of New Geneva for 5 years. He managed everything from work schedules to supply shipments for the mining operation. The colony was his life. Most of the miners had families here. Children played in the pressurized domes while their parents worked the extraction sites. It was a good life until the alien ships appeared in Earth's sky. The evacuation order came from Admiral Brooks at 800 colony time. Ben read the message twice before activating the general alarm. 3,000 people needed to reach the emergency shelters or evacuation ships within 6 hours. The aliens had announced their target in another arrogant transmission. They wanted Earth to watch what happened to colonies that refused to surrender. Dr. Helen Ross was studying alien ship movements from the colony's observatory when the evacuation began. She had been tracking the invaders since they arrived, and something about their behavior puzzled her. The alien fleet moved in perfect formations. Their attack patterns followed mathematical sequences. Even their communications came at regular intervals. Everything they did was predictable and organized. "Ben, I need to show you something," she called to the administrator as he coordinated the evacuation. "Look at these movement patterns. The aliens are following some kind of protocol. They announce their attacks, they give warning time. They target military objectives first. It's like they're following rules." Ben looked at her data while coordinating shuttle departures. "What kind of rules, Helen?" "Combat rules. Honor codes, maybe. Look, they could have destroyed us immediately, but instead they gave us time to evacuate civilians. That's not normal behavior for an extermination force." The evacuation proceeded quickly, but not quickly enough. When the alien attack ships appeared over New Geneva, 2,000 people had reached safety. 1,000 remained in the colony, including Ben Parker, who refused to leave his post, and Dr. Helen Ross, who insisted on recording the alien attack methods. On Earth, retired Marine Colonel Sam Hughes watched the lunar battle from his old command center. Admiral Brooks had called him back to active duty specifically for his expertise in unconventional warfare. Sam had spent 20 years fighting human enemies who used guerrilla tactics, psychological warfare, and asymmetric strategies. Now he was studying aliens who seemed to know nothing about such concepts. "Lisa, these aliens fight like parade ground soldiers," he told Admiral Brooks over the communication link. "Perfect formations, predictable tactics, honor-based combat. I don't think they've ever faced an enemy that fights dirty." "What do you mean, Sam?" "They're broadcasting their attack plan. They're giving warning shots. They're following some kind of military courtesy that no human military would ever use in actual combat. These aliens have never fought someone who was willing to do whatever it takes to win." The alien assault on New Geneva began with precision, strikes against the colony's defense systems. The few mining laser cannons that had been converted to weapons were destroyed in the first minutes. Then the aliens landed troops in perfect formation outside the main dome complex. They advanced methodically toward the colony structures while broadcasting surrender demands. Ben Parker and his remaining defenders had prepared for this moment. The colony's mining explosives had been rigged throughout the complex. Industrial, cutting lasers were positioned at key choke points. The atmospheric processing system had been modified to create toxic gas clouds. None of this was military equipment, but all of it was dangerous in the right hands. The aliens expected the humans to surrender when they saw the hopelessness of their situation. Instead, they found themselves fighting in an industrial nightmare. Mining charges exploded in tunnels. Cutting lasers sliced through armor from unexpected angles. Toxic gases forced them to retreat and regroup repeatedly. Young Communications Officer Danny Clark was monitoring alien transmissions from Aurora 1 when he made an important discovery. The invaders were using unencrypted communication channels, and their tactical discussions revealed something crucial about their mindset. "Captain Morrison, you need to hear this," Danny said. "The aliens are confused. They're asking each other why the humans won't surrender properly. They've never seen defenders use industrial equipment as weapons. They keep referring to human tactics as dishonorable and uncivilized." Jake Morrison listened to the translated alien communications with growing understanding. "They're not just technologically superior, Danny. They're culturally unprepared for how humans fight. Keep monitoring those channels. I want to know everything about how they think." The battle for New Geneva lasted 4 hours. The aliens eventually overwhelmed the defenders through sheer firepower, but the cost shocked them. They had expected to face frightened miners with basic tools. Instead, they fought desperate humans who used every advantage their environment provided. Mining equipment became weapons. Industrial processes became traps. Even the children contributed by sabotaging alien equipment with tools small enough to fit through ventilation systems. Dr. Helen Ross transmitted her observations to Earth until the final moments. Her last message contained tactical data about alien weaknesses behavioral patterns, and technological limitations she had observed during the battle. She died when the main dome collapsed, but her information reached Admiral Brooks and Colonel Hughes. Ben Parker made the aliens pay for every meter of ground they took. When his ammunition ran out, he used mining tools. When the tools broke, he fought with his bare hands. The alien commander who finally captured him was both impressed and disturbed by human determination. In 50 years of conquest, he had never seen a species fight so desperately for a hopeless cause. The transmission of the battle reached Earth exactly as the aliens intended. They wanted humanity to see the destruction of New Geneva and understand the futility of resistance. Instead, the broadcast had the opposite effect. Humans across the solar system watched their people fight impossible odds with creativity and courage. Instead of breaking human morale, the alien demonstration strengthened it. Admiral Brooks received thousands of messages from civilian ships, mining stations, and colony worlds. Everyone wanted to know how they could help defend Earth. Farmers offered to convert agricultural chemicals into weapons. Engineers volunteered to modify civilian ships for combat. Even children sent messages asking what they could do to fight the invaders. Colonel Hughes realized that the aliens had made a critical error. Lisa, they don't understand human psychology. That battle wasn't a demonstration of their power. It was a recruitment video for our cause. Every human who saw that fight now knows we can hurt these aliens. We can make them pay for their aggression. Commander Zekthul received his tactical officer's report on the New Geneva assault with growing concern. The humans had inflicted casualties on his elite troops using primitive weapons and industrial equipment. More disturbing was the behavior of the human defenders. They had fought with a desperation and creativity that his forces were not trained to counter. Commander, the humans are not responding as predicted, his tactical officer reported. Our demonstration of superior firepower has not resulted in surrender negotiations. Instead, we are detecting increased activity throughout their system. They appear to be mobilizing for total resistance. Zekthul studied the tactical displays showing human ship movements throughout the solar system. Every civilian vessel was heading toward Earth. Every colony was preparing defenses. Every human settlement was becoming a potential battleground. This was not the pattern of a species preparing to surrender. This was the pattern of a species preparing for war. For the first time in his career, Zekthul began to wonder if he had underestimated his enemy. The humans were primitive and outgunned, but they were not behaving like any species he had conquered before. They were acting like they believed they could win. Even more concerning, they were acting like they were looking forward to the fight. Earth's response to the lunar attack surprised everyone, including some humans themselves. Instead of preparing a traditional military defense, humanity did what it had always done best when facing impossible odds. They got creative with violence and turned everything into a weapon. Engineer Katie Bell worked in the civilian shipyards converting cargo haulers into flying bombs. Her background in mining explosives made her perfect for the job of turning peaceful freight vessels into guided missiles. The converted ships looked harmless from the outside, but their cargo holds were packed with every explosive compound the colonies could spare. The aliens expect us to fight like a military, she told her team of volunteers. They're scanning for weapon signatures and defensive formations. They won't be looking for cargo ships full of mining charges flying straight at their hulls. Programmer Alex Stone had a different approach to the problem. He worked with Dr. Helen Ross's transmitted data to find weaknesses in alien computer systems. The invaders used complex technology, but their security protocols were designed for honorable enemies who would never think to hack civilian communications networks. Their systems are sophisticated but predictable, Alex explained to Admiral Brooks during a strategy meeting. They follow the same logical patterns in everything they do. If I can get a virus into their network, it should spread through their entire fleet. The aliens prepared for their main assault on Earth with confidence that their proven strategies would work against humans as they had worked against 17 other species. Commander Zekthul assigned his best warriors to lead the invasion force. The plan was simple and had never failed before. Destroy orbital defenses, land troops at major population centers, accept surrender from surviving leaders. What the aliens discovered instead was that every human civilian had become a combatant. Construction workers used industrial equipment. To build improvised weapons, farmers deployed agricultural chemicals as toxic gas weapons. Children organized through their gaming networks to hack alien communication systems and spread disinformation. Captain Morrison coordinated Earth's defense from Aurora 1, but his real job had become managing chaos rather than directing organized resistance. Thousands of independent human groups were launching their own attacks against the alien fleet. Mining ships attacked using explosive cargo. Racing vessels conducted hit-and-run strikes. Even luxury yachts had been converted into missile platforms. "Admiral, I'm tracking over 300 separate human attack groups," Morrison reported to Admiral Brooks. "Each one is using different tactics and targeting different alien ships. The invaders can't predict what we're going to do next because we don't have a central battle plan." Pilot Jenny Walsh led a squadron of converted racing ships against alien patrol vessels. Her team's success came from their complete willingness to ignore every safety protocol that sensible species would follow. They flew through debris fields, used asteroid belts as cover, and attacked from angles that should have been suicidal. "The aliens fly like they're afraid of dying," she reported after her third successful raid. "They maintain safe distances, follow predictable flight paths, and retreat when they take damage. We fly like we're already dead and just want to take them with us." The hegemony forces found themselves fighting something unprecedented in their military history. This was not an army or a government they could defeat. This was an entire species that had collectively decided these invaders had picked the wrong planet to threaten. Colonel Hughes studied the battle reports from his command center with growing excitement. "Lisa, look at these casualty figures. We're taking losses, but so are they. More importantly, their losses are not being replaced. Every alien ship we destroy is irreplaceable. Every human ship we lose gets replaced by 3 more improvised weapons." Dr. Ross's data had revealed another crucial weakness in alien tactics. The hegemony forces communicated using unencrypted channels because they had never faced an enemy capable of electronic warfare. Alex Stone's virus programs were spreading through their network, causing navigation errors, communication failures, and weapons malfunctions. The virus worked by exploiting the aliens' predictable logical patterns. Their computers expected orderly data flow and systematic processes. When faced with chaotic human-designed code that changed randomly and served no logical purpose, their systems crashed repeatedly. Meanwhile, Katie Bell's converted cargo ships were wreaking havoc on alien formations. The invaders had sophisticated sensors designed to detect military threats. They completely missed civilian vessels until the moment those harmless-looking freighters exploded against their hulls with the force of small nuclear weapons. Commander Zechthal watched his carefully planned invasion dissolve into complete chaos. His tactical displays showed alien ships under attack from every direction by enemies that should not have existed. Human civilians were using weapons that should not have been possible. The entire battle had become unpredictable and unmanageable. "Commander, we are receiving distress calls from 17 different ships," his communications officer reported. "The humans are attacking using converted civilian vessels, industrial equipment, and some kind of computer virus that is disabling our navigation systems." Young communications officer Danny Clark intercepted more alien transmissions that revealed how completely the invaders were losing control of the situation. The aliens kept asking each other what the humans were trying to accomplish because nothing they did followed any recognizable military doctrine. "Captain, listen to this," Danny told Morrison. "The alien commander is asking his officers to explain human tactics using traditional military analysis. They can't understand why we're attacking with cargo ships and why our children are involved in combat operations." The turning point came when teenager Chris Murphy realized that alien fleet formations followed mathematical patterns based on their culture's preference for geometric perfection. He coordinated with his online gaming friends to identify optimal strike points for human attacks. To Chris and his clan, this was just an incredibly complex real-time strategy game with real consequences. "Admiral Brooks, I think I found their weakness," Chris reported during an emergency briefing. "The aliens arrange their ships according to mathematical formulas. If we attack specific points in their formation, the whole structure becomes unstable. It's like playing space chess, except they always use the same opening moves." The human attacks, that followed were coordinated by teenagers who treated the space battle like a video game, while being implemented by adults who had nothing left to lose. Alien formations that had conquered 17 star systems were torn apart by enemies who fought without honor, without predictability, and without fear of death. Admiral Brooks watched the tactical displays show alien ships retreating from Earth orbit for the first time since the invasion began. Human losses were enormous, but so were alien casualties. More importantly, the invaders were learning that humanity was not like any enemy they had faced before. "Sam, I think we're actually winning," she told Colonel Hughes. "No, Lisa, we're not winning. We're teaching them why they should never have come here in the first place. There's a difference." Commander Zekthul received casualty reports that would have been impossible against any other enemy. His elite warriors were being defeated by human civilians using improvised weapons. His advanced technology was being countered by primitive tactics that made no logical sense. For the first time in 50 years of conquest, the hegemony was facing defeat. The lesson was becoming clear to anyone with the intelligence to see it. Humanity was not primitive because they lacked technology. They were dangerous because they refused to be limited by conventional thinking. They fought like chaos itself had learned to build weapons and hold grudges. The alien systematic invasion plan collapsed completely as they realized they were not fighting a government or military force, but an entire species that had weaponized everything from farming equipment to children's video games. Every human settlement had become a fortress defended by people who treated impossible odds as a personal challenge, rather than a reason to surrender. Dr. Ross's research team had cracked the aliens' communication codes completely and began feeding false information directly into their command network. The hegemony forces found themselves receiving contradictory orders, false intelligence reports, and navigation data that sent their ships into asteroid fields instead of battle positions. The alien communication system assumes all data comes from trustworthy sources, Alex Stone explained to Admiral Brooks, while his virus program spread chaos through enemy networks. They have never fought an enemy that would lie to them or send false information. Their entire military doctrine is based on honor and truth in warfare. Colonel Hughes coordinated with Captain Morrison to implement what he called Operation Chaos Theory. The campaign was designed specifically to exploit every weakness they had discovered in alien military thinking. Human forces would attack with no recognizable pattern using weapons the invaders never expected, and fighting in ways that violated every principle of honorable combat. "The aliens expect us to have objectives they can understand," Hughes explained to his staff. "They expect us to protect valuable targets and retreat when facing superior firepower. Instead, we're going to attack everything randomly, abandon positions that should be defended, and hold ground that has no strategic value. We're going to fight like we're insane because from their perspective we are." Mechanic Pete Johnson had converted Aurora One's maintenance robots into an autonomous defense swarm that moved through the battle zone like a cloud of mechanical wasps. The improvised weapons were devastatingly effective against aliens who expected weapons to look like weapons instead of repair equipment programmed for violence. The beauty of using maintenance bots is that the aliens don't shoot at them until it's too late, Pete reported to Captain Morrison. Their sensors classify the robots as non-threatening civilian equipment right up until the moment they start cutting through alien hull armor with industrial plasma torches. The psychological impact on hegemony forces was becoming more important than the physical damage. Alien warriors who had conquered 17 star systems were being defeated by human children playing video games, and grandmothers converting kitchen appliances into explosive devices. The very concept of honorable warfare was meaningless against enemies who fought like organized chaos. Jenny Walsh's racing ship squadron had evolved into something that resembled a pack of space pirates more than a military unit. They attacked alien supply convoys, rescued human civilians from captured stations, and generally caused havoc throughout the battle zone using tactics that made no sense to anyone, including themselves. "We don't follow orders because we don't get orders," she explained to a confused alien commander during a brief communication exchange. "We just see something that needs exploding and we explode it. It's not complicated unless you're trying to predict what we'll do next." The turning point came when teenager Chris Murphy and his gaming clan realized they could coordinate human attacks across the entire solar system using multiplayer game networks that the aliens had never thought to monitor. Thousands of young humans were treating the space battle like a massive online strategy game, while providing targeting data for real weapons operated by adults. Admiral Brooks, "We've mapped every alien ship in the system," Chris reported during his daily briefing. "My clan has been tracking their movement patterns for weeks. We know which ships are supply vessels, which ones carry their best fighters, and which commanders make decisions for different parts of their fleet." The information Chris provided allowed human forces to strike at the most critical targets while avoiding heavily defended positions. More importantly, it gave humanity the ability to predict alien responses and prepare counterattacks that devastated enemy formations. Commander Zekthul found himself fighting a war unlike anything in hegemony history. His forces were being systematically dismantled by enemies who seemed to know his battle plans before he made them. Human attacks came from directions that should have been impossible using weapons that should not have existed. "Commander, we need reinforcements immediately," his tactical officer reported. "The humans have some kind of intelligence network that predicts our movements. They attack our weakest ships with overwhelming force while avoiding our strongest defensive positions. It's like they can read our tactical plans." The request for reinforcements revealed another critical weakness in hegemony thinking. Their military doctrine assumed that superior technology would always defeat inferior opponents quickly. They had never prepared for extended campaigns against enemies who grew stronger through combat experience. Katie Bell's engineering teams had reverse-engineered enough alien technology to begin building hybrid weapons that combined human creativity with captured hegemony equipment. The results were devastating devices that the aliens could not counter because they had never imagined such combinations were possible. "We took their plasma cannons and connected them to our mining laser targeting systems," she explained to Colonel Hughes. "The aliens built their weapons for precision and efficiency. We rebuilt them for maximum destruction and complete unpredictability." Dr. Ross's data analysis had revealed that hegemony warriors were trained to fight other honorable species who followed recognized rules of engagement. They expected enemies to protect civilians, avoid targeting non-military assets, and accept defeat when facing overwhelming odds. Humans violated every one of these expectations. The aliens received constant reports of human civilians joining combat operations, children participating in military planning, and elderly humans building weapons in their homes. Nothing they encountered matched their understanding of how intelligent species should behave during warfare. Captain Morrison coordinated the defense of Earth from Aurora 1 while managing communication with hundreds of independent human fighting groups. The battle had become less about military strategy and more about channeling human chaos in the right direction. "Admiral, we're not winning through superior tactics or better weapons," he reported to Admiral Brooks. "We're winning because the aliens can't adapt to fighting people who refuse to follow any rules. Every time they figure out one of our strategies, we abandon it and try something completely different." Alex Stone's virus programs had evolved from simple disruption tools into sophisticated weapons that turned alien technology against itself. Hegemony ships found their own computers providing targeting data to human forces, their communications, systems broadcasting false orders, and their navigation equipment sending them into collision courses with each other. The psychological warfare was as effective as the physical attacks. Alien commanders received reports from their own sensors showing impossible human capabilities, contradictory battle data, and tactical assessments that made no logical sense. They began to doubt their own information systems and question their understanding of human limitations. Colonel Hughes watched the battle reports with satisfaction as his unconventional warfare strategies proved successful beyond his wildest expectations. The aliens were not just losing battles, they were losing their ability to understand what they were fighting against. "Lisa, I think we've broken them psychologically," he told Admiral Brooks. "They came here expecting to fight humans like they fight other species. Instead, they found out that humans don't fight like anyone else in the galaxy. We fight like we're personally insulted by the very idea of losing." The lesson was spreading through alien ranks faster than any virus Alex Stone had designed. Humanity was not just defending their world. They were demonstrating why some species should never be challenged regardless of technological advantages. The hegemony was learning that there are things worse than defeat in battle. There is the realization that you picked a fight with the wrong enemy. 3 weeks after the first alien ship appeared in Earth's solar system, General Kethmar arrived with hegemony reinforcements expecting to find a defeated human species ready for processing into their empire. Instead, he found the wreckage of Commander Zekthul's invasion fleet scattered across space and a human civilization that had used the battle as an intensive learning experience. Admiral Brooks contacted the new alien commander before his reinforcements could fully assess the situation. Her message was broadcast on all frequencies so every ship in both fleets could hear her words clearly. General Kethmar, welcome to Earth's solar system. As you can see, your advance forces encountered some difficulties during their visit. We're prepared to offer you the same choice we gave Commander Zekthul. Leave now and return to your empire with a valuable lesson about picking your battles carefully, or stay and discover why the previous fleet didn't survive to report their experiences. The transmission included footage of human engineers reverse engineering hegemony weapons in real time, children casually piloting captured alien fighters, and construction crews building new warships from salvaged enemy technology. The message was clear. Humanity had not just survived the first invasion, they had grown stronger from it. General Kethmar studied the tactical displays showing the remains of what had been the hegemony's most successful conquest fleet. 17 alien vessels had been destroyed or captured. The humans had lost hundreds of ships, but they were already building replacements using improved designs that combined human innovation with alien technology. How is this possible? He asked his tactical officer. Commander Zekthul had superior firepower, advanced technology, and elite warriors. How were they defeated by a primitive species with basic weapons? The answer came from the surviving members of Zekthul's crew who had been rescued from disabled ships. Their reports described warfare unlike anything in hegemony experience. Humans who fought without honor, used civilian populations as combatants, and treated impossible odds as motivation rather than reason for surrender. Katie Bell unveiled humanity's latest project during a system-wide broadcast that reached both human and alien receivers. The new human fleet consisted of ships built from salvaged alien technology but designed according to human principles of warfare. They were unpredictable, heavily armed, and absolutely without any consideration for honorable combat. Captain Morrison took command of the flagship Defiance, leading a crew that had learned to think like humans and fight like the universe itself was their enemy. The ship looked like a nightmare combination of human engineering chaos and alien technological precision. Its weapons could not be predicted, its tactics could not be anticipated, and its crew viewed survival as a personal insult to anyone trying to kill them. General Kethmar, let me explain something about human nature. Admiral Brooks continued in her broadcast to the alien reinforcements. We hold grudges. When someone attacks our homes, kills our people, and threatens our families, we don't just defend ourselves. We make sure the attackers regret starting the fight in the first place. The final confrontation began when Zekthul, having survived his fleet's destruction, challenged Admiral Brooks to single combat according to hegemony. Tradition. The winner would claim victory for their entire species. It was an honorable solution that had resolved conflicts throughout the galaxy for thousands of years. Admiral Brooks's response became legendary throughout both human and alien space. She appeared on every communication screen in the system wearing her full-dress uniform and speaking with the calm authority of someone who had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. Commander Zekthul, I appreciate your adherence to traditional combat protocols. However, humans don't do traditional warfare. We do effective warfare. Your challenge is declined not because we fear single combat, but because we prefer total victory to personal glory. Instead of a duel, humanity responded with Operation Total Eclipse. Every lesson they had learned about alien weaknesses was demonstrated simultaneously across the solar system. The attack succeeded not through superior technology, but through superior unpredictability, combined with absolutely ruthless determination to protect their world. Human forces struck from every direction, using weapons the aliens had never imagined. and tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare. Children provided targeting data through video game networks while adults operated weapons built from kitchen appliances and mining equipment. Elderly humans coordinated supply chains that kept improvised weapons flowing to the battle zones. The hegemony reinforcements found themselves fighting an enemy that had evolved beyond their understanding in just 3 weeks of warfare. Human ships moved in patterns that defied tactical analysis. Human weapons functioned according to principles that made no scientific sense. Human fighters attacked with desperation that seemed to increase rather than decrease as casualties mounted. General Kethmar received reports that would have been impossible against any other enemy the hegemony had faced. His advanced warriors were being outfought by human teenagers. His sophisticated technology was being countered by improvised devices built in civilian workshops. His centuries of military experience meant nothing against opponents who invented new ways to fight during the battle itself. General, the humans are not following any recognizable combat doctrine, his communications officer reported. They attack with no apparent strategy, defend positions with no tactical value, and retreat from battles they could win while advancing into battles they cannot survive. Our tactical computers cannot predict their behavior because their behavior makes no logical sense. The truth was simpler than the aliens could understand. Humans were not fighting according to military doctrine because they were not really fighting a military campaign. They were fighting for survival against invaders, who had threatened to exterminate their entire species. Every human in the solar system viewed the conflict as personal and fought accordingly. Colonel Hughes coordinated the final phase of Operation Total Eclipse from his command center while watching alien formations dissolve under attacks they could not counter or predict. The lesson he had tried to teach the invaders was finally being learned through painful experience. The aliens came here thinking they were conquering another primitive world, he explained to Admiral Brooks as they watched the battle reports. What they discovered is that humans are not primitive, we're adaptable, and we don't fight to prove our honor or demonstrate our superior technology. We fight to make our enemies wish they had never heard of Earth. The hegemony fleet began retreating from Earth's solar system, carrying a message that would change galactic politics forever. General Kethmar's final report to the Hegemony Council contained a warning that spread throughout their empire and beyond. The species called humans are not suitable for conquest. They do not surrender when facing superior odds. They do not fight according to recognized military protocols. They use their entire population as combatants and treat warfare as an opportunity to demonstrate creativity rather than honor. Recommend immediate classification as hostile and avoidance of their territory. But the real lesson was contained in a single sentence that became part of hegemony military doctrine. Never challenge a species that views impossible odds as a personal insult. The humans don't fight to win battles. They fight to make their enemies regret starting the war. The story ended with humanity's transformation from a single-world civilization to a galactic power not through conquest, but through reputation. Word spread throughout the galaxy about the species that had taught the mighty hegemony to fear fighting dirty opponents who held grudges and treated survival as an art form. Commander Zekthul survived the conflict and spent the rest of his career warning other species about the danger of underestimating enemies who fight without limits. His final report contained the observation that changed how the galaxy viewed humanity forever. We assumed the humans were primitive because their technology was inferior to ours. We learned too late that humans are dangerous precisely because they refuse to be limited by conventional thinking. They fight like chaos itself, learn to build weapons and declare war on the universe.